Hello everybody. It is November 22nd, about 10 a.m. So I got a really good question a while back, posted in the BTWB Squads feature, and it was on a preparation for an Ask Me Anything. And it didn't get a ton of upvotes, but it was a good question, so I kind of logged it away and told that person that I would circle back to it when I had the opportunity. So here we are. This is the question. I really like it. I think people will benefit from it. But I had to put a little time, thought, and effort into it, so it took a bit. This is from Gustavo P., who's curious about a skills roadmap for beginners. He says that'd be great. Where to start? What skills should we start with first to kind of progress in an appropriate manner? Great question. There's just so darn much we're trying to be good at in CrossFit, right? From barbell movements to gymnastics movements to conditioning to the whole 9 yards. So let's not get overwhelmed. And this is not the only path. These are just a sequence that I think would work well. So right off the bat, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So the 9 foundational movements that CrossFit teaches all the time, they teach it at level 1. There's all kinds of articles about them online. That sequence of the squats, the presses, and the deads is pretty time tested, works really well, and that in and of itself is a pretty good place to start. And if you're unfamiliar with that, just the first 3 that you could work on if you're brand new: air squat, deadlift, and shoulder press. And just get good at those: air squat, deadlift, and shoulder press. Hopefully it goes without saying, but if not, I'll go ahead and say it. So we're talking about somebody with like a skills roadmap, somebody trying to improve their technique, a beginner. So when I say deadlift and shoulder press, I'm not talking 1 rep max. I'm not talking even moderate weight in a workout. I'm talking technique work and practice. That's what we're talking about, to try to improve your ability to do these movements. And that could be a PVC pipe, a broom handle, or some movements are nice with a little bit of feedback. So an empty barbell, something like that you can feel a little bit, but is within your capacity for wherever you are in your fitness journey. Air squat, deadlift, shoulder press. Great place to start. Once you get some relative comfort with those and you want to build on them a little bit, if you're going again off the classic 9 foundational movements, the next 3 that would enter your life would be front squat, sumo deadlift high pull, and the push press. And there's nothing wrong with those at all. They work and they work quite well. But I also don't think there's anything wrong with allowing yourself a little wiggle room, and you can deviate from them if needed. The first 3 of air squat, deadlift, and shoulder press, I do think you should start there. But for the next 3, front squat, sumo deadlift high pull, and push press, I think you've got some room to play there. For the front squat, that is up next on the list because it has great transference to some other lifts we're going to do down the road. Whereas the back squat, I don't want to call it a dead end lift. It's very insulting for that lift, but the front squat has more transference, so it starts there. So you could do front squat, or you could do back squat. I think it'd be either would be fine. But the front squat is nice. It's more demanding of an upright torso, generally speaking. You've got to have some flexibility with the front rack position. It will start to expose some faults or flaws that maybe you didn't notice in your air squat. So the front squat's great. Then the sumo deadlift high pull, that's one that people can have some consternation about. You could do the sumo deadlift high pull if you wanted, but if you wanted something in place of that, you've got several options. You could start to work with just a hang power clean. That way you're not pulling from the ground, so you're keeping a relatively simple progression, if you will. If you were a little comfortable pulling from the ground, you could just start to learn the power clean. Or if you didn't want to do either one of those, but just wanted to still work on some core to extremity movement, some hip drive, some midline stabilization, you could just work on a basic kettlebell swing, just a basic Russian kettlebell swing. So I think any of those would work well. Sumo deadlift high pull, hang power clean, or just your basic Russian kettlebell swing. And then you've got the push press, good to go. So you kind of work those in there as well. And again, we're not talking about big loading. We're talking about practicing the movement to get better at it. Final of the 3 parts, if you will, of the 9 foundational moves that CrossFit would put out if you're looking for a skills progression. Their last 3 would be the overhead squat, the push jerk, and the medicine ball clean. The overhead squat, I mean, depending upon what you did previously, front squat or back squat, the overhead squat is not necessarily something that, beginner needs to just start loading up and doing a workout, but even attempting to learn the movement. Again, PVC pipe, broom handle, empty barbell, very, very lightweight. Attempting to learn the overhead squat, in attempting to learn it, you will learn a lot about yourself. You'll learn a lot about your squat. You'll learn a lot about the flexibility that you do or don't have. You'll learn a lot about line of action. You'll learn a lot about bar path. And so in just attempting to learn that movement and get better at it, there's tremendous value there. Even if you're nowhere near ready to load it up, that's fine. It has value. Then the push jerk comes up in CrossFit, and that's fine. But if you weren't ready for that, you could start to learn the split jerk as well, and then come back to the push jerk. But, one of the jerks would be a great thing to learn in there. And then the final one that they throw out there is the medicine ball clean. And this is another one that people will gripe about, the medicine ball clean, because it just seems like you're throwing a pillow around and it's too easy and blah, blah, blah. But it does give you a great bit of feedback. It is very user-friendly. It's forgiving of errors. And when you do get it down properly, the sequence in which you're going to move your body and manipulate that object has beautiful transference again to what you're going to want to accomplish with the barbell, and it's a very friendly way to do that. So I don't have any drama whatsoever with the medicine ball clean. But if you had a good progression that worked well with a PVC pipe, broom handle, empty barbell, and that's what you liked to do for a full clean, it's fine with me. But some sort of progression like that would work well. So let's say those are just some good basic loaded movements to work on. Okay, there are others for sure, but those are your good foundational movements right there. And maybe we want to start at the same time the skills progression of working on controlling our body, more body weight movements. Now I understand that the first thing that I mentioned is an air squat. It's an unloaded movement. It's a gymnastics movement. I get that. But now we're going from CrossFit's pure 9 foundational movements to maybe at the same time that we're doing that, we're working on some basic gymnastics to control our body. A fantastic thing would be moving towards some solid push-ups. And there could be some people that shake their head and like, that sounds too easy, but there are plenty of people that getting their first push-up is a really big deal and really hard, but it's profoundly foundational and critical to everything else that we're going to do. So working towards getting your first push-up, fantastic thing to do. We would love to build some upper body pulling capacity, working towards our first strict pull-up or more strict pull-ups if you already have one. And there's plenty of ways you can do that with bands, ring rows, bent over rows, all kinds of other techniques and paths, but working towards some good upper body pulling as well, because these will all come into play later on. We want to do some really cool stuff like kipping chest to bar or bar muscle ups or ring muscle ups or any of that kind of stuff. We got to start here for the beginner with some basic movements. Planks of all varieties would be a great thing to work in along the same time. Unloaded glute bridges, no need to put a barbell or anything on there. Just get yourself back on the ground, and with both feet on the ground, do sets of glute bridges with either both feet on the ground, and if those start to become too easy, have just one heel or one foot on the ground and do glute bridges like that. And they will get really hard really fast with just one foot on the ground. And then strengthen your midline in any way that you can. Obviously, everything that we're doing helps strengthen your midline. I realize that, but if you want to do some specific stuff, we can do some sit-ups, some hollow rocks, some hanging knee raises, start to work your L-sit if you can, or knee tucks, all kinds of good stuff, candlestick drills, anything that you can to eventually, like those hanging knee raises could be a bridge that will eventually one day get you to toes to bar, get you to knees to elbows, along with that pull-up that you're working and all that other kind of good stuff. Breaking out the old jump rope would be nice as well. Just single unders. Let's not worry about double unders. And not only single unders, but the running step with a jump rope. Something that can be rather neglected, but foundational and mission critical to some jump rope capacity that will make your life better later on. So that I think would be it's a lot of stuff, I know, but you don't have to do it all at once. For example, you could be working your air squat, deadlift, and shoulder press and just focusing on those 3, not really worrying about anything else. And maybe you pick one of those gymnastics movements and you're working towards your first push-up as well. You start to get some capacity there and you feel good. You work on some upper body pulling. You get bored, you break out the jump rope. You're just gently touching all of these things. And if done well and done properly, and if you have the baseline of knowledge, you can both work on these, be a beginner, be looking to improve, be on the journey, and still be working out with them as well. You just have to be intelligent about the loading, the intensity, and just realizing you're not going to move faster than you can move well. Of course, an advanced athlete shouldn't do that either. And that your goal right now is not big loadings or crazy times. It's just you're just moving your body and trying to have your brain connected to your body so that while you're moving, you're thinking about how you're moving, noticing if anything isn't going how you want it to, and making those corrections in real time. So that's what you want to do. I know it sounds like a lot. If you've got a plan or a path, great. Go ahead and knock it out. If not, I highly recommend. There's a whole bunch of VNR, for varied not random, VNR cycles that Adrian Bosman and I either created ourselves, oversaw, or had a hand in one way, shape, or form to make sure that these cycles are good and useful and worked and valuable tools. If you want to check those out, go to programs.btwb.com/VNR. programs.btwb.com/VNR. And there's a whole bunch of programs and cycles on there if you do need some assistance. We created a body weight on-ramp course. I'm looking at it right now. 8-week guide, 24 different workouts, demo movements, videos, the whole 9 yards. There's a dumbbell on-ramp, all kinds of stuff going on there. One to get your first strict pull-up, first kipping pull-up, ring muscle up, bar muscle up, get your first push-up, ring dip, handstand walk, toes to bar. There's things for clean, jerk, snatch, deadlift, all kinds of good stuff. So if you've got a plan, you're good to go. Fantastic. Rock on. You find some resource somewhere online or on YouTube that works well for you, great. Have a blast. But if you need some more structured guidance, we put a lot of time, thought, and effort into them. And so check them out. I hope that you like them. So that is about that. This week, there will not be an Ask Me Anything on Thursday because with the holidays coming up, I'm going to enjoy the holiday and not click on the old cell phone to the best of my ability. So that's it. Hope that skills path is useful. Thanks for the question. It was a good one. And we'll talk later.